Hello everybody, and welcome to another segment from NWUGC.com. Today what I would like to discuss is just, or show you, is what I use to design or craft my quest for the Neverwinter Foundry. And I do all this before I actually go in and put the quest into the Foundry. You know, add the objects and the enemy and all the rest of that. I put all that in this before I even start. And this allows me to make sure that all of my T's are crossed, my I's are dotted, as it were. But it also makes sure that I don't forget anything. And I'm able to verify and that it flows smoothly. And to me, that's important. And anybody who's playing a game or reading a book, you don't want them to be jumping around all over the place and not have an idea or the natural flow of things. So I use this program here. It's by NWUGC. It's called Articy Draft. You can buy it from their website, and or it's also on Steam. It's relatively cheap. I use it. I like it. It's very important for me in my whole process. So this screen here, this is just for people who host it on their own servers. It allows more than one person to edit a project or a story or a quest, and everybody checks in and checks out the items that they're working on. And this just maintains that connectivity to ensure that you're not overwriting somebody else's work. So we won't be using that, obviously. What we will be using is the single user. Here you can see a list of quests that are already done. This is one that I currently have in the Foundry, and people are playing at this present time. So what I'm going to do is just do a general overview of this quest and show you what I've done with it. So here we are inside of Articy Draft. There's a lot of information here. We won't go into too many specifics, but I want to show you exactly what you can achieve with this fantastic program. Alright, so obviously you have different viewing options here. You can open it all up. You can close it all down. The settings, basically it's how you set your working environment. I haven't changed this. I use the default settings. And you can change it any way you like based on what you have here available to you. Alright, so the flow of your story. This is where it all comes together. This is right from start to finish. All your pictures, all your notes, all your dialogues, all your locations, all your items, everything is in the screen here. Alright, and so mine starts off with the bulletin board, and in there that's where people can pick up the quest. Then they go and do the quest, right? You walk through the quest. Okay, so this just jumps to it. One of the dialogues that I picked from up here, it jumps from the bulletin board and goes right to the quest itself. And here's the actual quest. Okay, so the quest starts over here on the left hand side. See the bulletin board here, and this here allows you to go up to the layer above, and these here allow you to go down into that object. And in this first one we have to meet Merchant Alfrisa Fenta. She is located in the marketplace, and I just see here I got a spelling mistake, so I can fix that right here. There we go, done. Go ahead and save that. Perfect. All right, so the player is told to go meet Merchant Cleo in the marketplace. So that's the first scene. So what I want to do is we're going to go down in there, just double click on that, and it takes me one step closer to the actual dialogue. It shows me who's here, the player, picture of the merchant. All right, and now if we click here again, double click, takes us down into the actual dialogue with the merchant. All right, so in here the menu text, this is what the player sees in game, what their objective is. I put notes in here. It allows me to better set the mood or the feeling when I'm choosing in the dialogue in Foundry of the character, like the different motions that the NPC will do while you're speaking to them. And then in here is the text that comes from the merchant, and then it gives the player two choices, and here are the choices. Everything, I doubt that, as you can see there. The player will choose that option that they want. It moves into the next segment. So if they, let's say for this particular case, use I doubt that, and this is what the player responds with, then it'll come over to this screen. And again, over to this one as they continue on. So in this particular case, the player has two options to choose from. They choose one, but you can see it both comes into the same dialogue here. Right? So it just gives a bit of diversity for the player, so they don't always have to click the same thing if they have to do it more than once, or if they want to do it more than once. It's not always the same response that they're or choice that they're given for a response. And it just continues on, and again splits off into two here. And at this point here, if the player in this particular case chooses this option, I'm not your errand boy, go and speak with him yourself, the merchant will say, then why are you here wasting my time, be gone. And then this actually ends this dialogue, so the quest does not move forward. The player actually has to choose this dialogue to move forward in the game. And then here you can see there it jumps to the Nobleman Burkhardt dialogue, which is scene 2. Okay? And in scene 2, same deal. The player, Nobleman Burkhardt, and double click here. It allows you to work on the dialogue between Nobleman Burkhardt and the player. And then he tells you have to go to so-and-so and to do such and such thing. Okay, so in here, again, you set it all up to do exactly what you want the player to do, so it has a natural feel and flow to the game. Right? So you can actually play the game, not play it as per se, but you can actually map it out, and you know yourself if it's a smooth feeling or not, and you can work through it like that. All right, and then again, this quest isn't finished in the storyboard here, but you would flush it out here. Now I've purposely left it open like this so I could work through it and show you how I do it later on. This is just a general overview. So assets. Everything that you use within the articy draft, it's put in to assets. All your pictures, all your objects, anything miscellaneous, any maps, so on and so forth. Everything goes in your assets. So in this particular case, the character pictures, which is all the NPCs and the player. If we pick the merchant here, this is the faraway picture of her, and there's a larger picture of it here, a close-up picture, Nobleman Burkhardt, close-up, a faraway picture, the player's picture, the bandit leader that you end up having to kill, and the rebel bandit contact that you have to meet later on in the game, or in that quest. So all that information is there. Any game objects that the player will use in the game. In this particular case, it was a bag of coins, gold coins, right? bill of sale, money chest, the Foundry bulletin board, and the sewer grate key to get into the sewers. So that's all there. Anything miscellaneous? In this particular case, I had a world map put in here that I wanted people to see. You can actually double click on it and view it. And you can put other types of files in here as well. You can put any text files, any music files, any type of file that you want. You can add it in here. And it doesn't have to be in miscellaneous. It's just what I use it for. So the Protector's Enclave. This is where the quest begins and ends. And these are the different 4 areas. So the entrance to Relux Courtyard, which is one place in the game that I designed, shows you here the actual entrance. Overview picture of the Protector's Enclave and the overhead map, which I use later on to show you, and I'll show you exactly how that works. For where the player picks up the quest, where he has to move to, where he has to go to, so on and so forth. And this is the actual where he picks up the quest and where he has to go to as well. Relux Courtyard. Again, here's the entrance to the courtyard. The bandit contact. The courtyard map. This is the actual map of in the game, and I use it for, well, I'll show you that. Relux sewer entrance. This goes on to the next part of the game, or the quest. And the actual sewer hideout. This is the boss's room in the underground dungeon or sewers, and I'll get more into that. This is overview of the second level, or in the sewers there, to go kill the bandit. So that's all your assets. That's what I used for this game, or this quest I should say. You can set up your own custom templates. Templates are used for filling in specific information on an object, NPC, area, whatever. In my particular case, I had added some of my own. See, here's the custom property types. Sorry, my mistake. Object, I made this one here. What the name of the object was. If it was a quest object, meaning that you just needed to move on to the next portion of the quest, true or false, and what the description of the object is. Okay, and you can design all that here. Any notes that you have that you've made along during that you want to remember or to do, you can add them in here. And you can actually, once you have your whole quest done, you can set up sort of like a slideshow, and it'll go, it's called a journey, and you start right at the beginning and how the whole dialogue flows or the quest flows, and you can set it up there. And here we have locations. There's 3 main locations in my quest. One is the Protector's Enclave, Relux Courtyard, and Relux Sewer Hideout. And in here, like I said, showed you the map earlier. So this is the Protector's Enclave, and this shows where the player has to go. So the bulletin boards where you pick up the quest are located right here, or in any inn. That's why I didn't mark it on a map. So if you talk to a barmaid, or if you talk to the job board as they're called here, you can pick up the quest from there. And once you pick up the quest, it tells you to go see Merchant Arisa Fenta, which is located here. So the player comes from here, goes over here, talks to her, she gives him or her the next part of the quest, and then the player makes his way over to here, Nobleman Burkhard. They have a little chinwag, and then they're told to go find Reloc's courtyard. So the player comes up here and goes in there. And you can add any of the notes that you want here. You can use any templates. You can choose your templates if you have one that you want to use, and put them all in here. Again, I'm not using this program to its full ability, and I will, as I want to get this information out to everybody. Alright, so that's the Protector's Enclave, just to show you that. Reloc's Courtyard. This is where the actual part of the quest begins, and it shows in here where the player had spawned, right here. And this is the exit portal here, which is now located over here. I had changed that in my quest. And so the player spawns here when he comes into that first door. And so the exit is over here now, not here. If he doesn't want to, I say he, but if the player doesn't want to continue with the quest, they can exit the game, or the quest here, I mean. They can exit the quest here. And so they continue the quest, they come along down here, they fight their way through here. They come up here, they have to kill the bandit, captain, which is an elite, and then 2 easy monsters, enemy. Once they're dead, this contact will appear, and he's in a alcove here. You get the key from the bandit, the contact, and you come over here, you unlock the grate, and then you can enter the sewer hideout. And then once you get that and you enter the hideout, this is the actual map here of the quest area. Again, the player spawns here. They can exit the map here, and if you go in closer, you'll see that there's another NPC here, and they're basically there to explain that if a player does not want to continue in the quest, that they can leave through this exit here. But if the player wants to continue, then it shows the doorway entries into the next segments of the map, and shows here I have the poison darts, trap, the enemies along the way, all in the map. You can see them as they go along, all the different types of maps, more traps, mini boss room, and this is the main boss room for the fight, for the quest. Alright, so I've labeled it as such. The first thing they have to do is kill the 3 named guards. Then they have to kill the bandit leader, which is right there. And then they have to pick up the nobleman's coffer that was stolen from him. And you'll find all about that in the quest. And then once that's finished, then there's a doorway here that becomes active. And they can leave the quest through that door. Okay? And then once they leave the quest, they'll come out through this door here. They're told to go see Nobleman Burkhart, give him the coffer, he gives you the money, you take it and pay off Merchant Ulsra Fenta. Entities. I use this in here to place all my objects, NPCs, major and minor ones. In here in the items you can see I have the bag of gold, bill of sale, the nobleman's coffer, and the sewer grate. You can, any descriptions that you have a picture here and put in your description of what it says on the key when the player looks at it. That's the same for all of them. Your major NPCs, you have the merchant, nobleman, and the bandit leader that you have to kill. And his name is Reloc. Okay. Any minor NPCs, that's the contact. And as you notice that this label up top here changes color. The green, red for the enemy, yellow for non-threatening or non-fighting mobs. Any miscellaneous items that you have are entities for the game. the monsters in the game or the enemies that you'll be fighting, any objects. In this particular case, it was a lore object that I was going to use, but I changed my mind. And the player themselves. That's a quick overview. There's much more to this, and you can get as detailed as you want. You can export, you can import text files to help you set this up. If you want to, if you're working on this, you want to export it into a different types of file formats and send it off to somebody else who's doing other work. This allows you to do that as well. Yeah, we'll get into more details later with specifics in how to do certain things, like we'll open up the flow and then we'll start on a new project and work our way through that. For now, that's it. I just wanted to give you a quick overview of Articy Draft to show you exactly what I use to start with before I even start in the Foundry tool set within Neverwinter. Inexpensive, and in the end you will see a large difference in between just jumping in the Foundry and throwing something together and taking your time and planning it out using this program to do the planning. Planning is key. Anyways, that's it for now. Thank you very much for tuning in. In our next segment, we will look at items specifically and how to use them.